Hello, Rob. How's it going?
Hi, is that Gary?
It is. How are you?
Good, good. I was calling for Kaz.
Oh no, it's Gary. It's very, very confusing. My wife's on Skype and I'm not, unfortunately. But
Oh, you cheater, Gary.
I know. Typical businessman, let me tell you.
You think it's a government conspiracy to keep track of you?
Yes, definitely. So how's things?
Same old. I got new equipment coming in. What's the date today? What's today?
Today is
August 1st. 5 more days.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I get to find out where my thousands of US dollars went to.
Is it that good?
I hope so. I really hope so. I don't know. You know how it is.
Yeah.
You're so excited and you go, oh man, this is going to find ghosts. I can't wait to get out there. And then you sit there for 2 hours staring at the damn thing.
I know. I have the RTVP, and I think you need a very good education or a course, an 8-week course to try to find out how to use the blooming thing.
I have the RT-EVP, the Mach 1, probably the same one you have. He's put out a couple more. But I had the same thing. I'm sitting there trying to use voice commands. Talk to me. Work. Do what I paid for. I honestly, it's sitting in a drawer somewhere. I'm sure some people swear by it.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried and tried and tried. I got it to kind of do what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Never heard of EVP through it, which is not the fault of the device, I guess. But no, I'm with you on the RT EVP.
Yeah, I'm old school. I'm sure you are yourself, Rob. I use the old Zoom H2. That does it for me.
I mix it up, I have another order that's getting sent to my sister in America, and then she's going to try and send it over here, I hope. It's real old school. It's old school Galileo thermometers. It's Fitzroy storm glass. It's compasses. It's like hardcore old school. So that I can kind of like mix it up. You know what I mean? Because at the moment, most of the new stuff we got ain't working.
Yeah. I remember the very first one I used was the Olympus voice recorder. Not very, very clear, very, very hard to make out when you're playing it back for the recordings. Yeah,
it's the same. I'm the same way. I've got the super duper whoop-de-doo high end recorders that bands use.
Uh-huh.
And I've got the Panasonic DR60s that everyone swears by and charges way too much for. But you gotta find something in the middle. You know what I mean? Like I did this. I don't know if you saw what I did on Facebook. I said, look, everybody says they got the best EVPs, the best Spirit Box sessions, Frank's Box, what have you, and that's great. But what you're doing is audible pareidolia. You're telling people what they're going to hear, and therefore they hear it.
Exactly.
So here's what I want you to do. Here's the challenge, and I'll give you the short version. Don't write on the screen what it's going to say. Don't tell me what it's going to say. Don't show me the question you ask, because if you say, how many eggs are in a dozen, and then something says, I'm going to hear 12.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So just give me the EVP.
Yeah.
And then everyone who hears it will tell you what they heard. Now, it's not, people thought it was like a real challenge, like I was like saying they suck or something.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was really doing is saying, listen, if you think you have a Class A EVP, you can do this challenge and find out if it's Class A. If everyone hears it and you get 5 different answers, homeboy, that's not a Class A.
Exactly, it's pareidolia.
Yeah, so I only got 2 submissions. I got probably 100 likes and 2 submissions.
Wow.
And I appreciate that the 2 people tried it. One guy, I told him this myself. I said, listen, if I got that EVP, I would spend the rest of the night saying who else was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, you know how it is. If the
Yeah.
evidence is so good, you start thinking, that's odd that it's so crystal clear. Because I made it out instantly. It sounds like a guy talking.
Right.
So I was kind of like, hey, I don't know. The other guy, his was more of what you'd expect from an EVP, and I think he was kind of more the point of why I'm doing this. Because I put on my headphones, I played it again. I really, literally listened to it at least 10 to 15 times, probably more. And I bet you, you talk about a challenge, I will put money down that any 10 people who listen to it will hear 10 different things.
Yeah, exactly. It could come out as everyone thinking it's saying Margaret when it's saying the market.
It could. This one, you should, if you get a second, hop on Facebook and give it a listen, Gary, because you're going to say, I have one, even if you said, Rob, it's your life depends on getting, and there's no right answer, right? Except for the person who said it. And we can't ask him. So nobody really knows. But if we could ask that spirit what he said, if my life depended on it, I don't think I'd get the right answer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fantastic idea. And again, like yourself, you're pushing the boundaries out there. What is an EVP exactly?
Well, I mean, you'd love to almost, somebody wrote to me who I respect and said, why didn't you should have done this on TV. And I said, no, I shouldn't have. Because TV is entertainment.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do everything on TV that I do honestly. And I don't accept people who don't follow the same suit. I understand why they do it the way they do it, because they want to make money and be popular and get fame, but I don't do it that way. So if you did it on TV, here's how you could do it on TV. You could bring a group of 5 people into a room. And you say, I'm going to play EVP, and we'll use your example. It says Margaret. You ready? Here we go. And they all go, oh, yeah, Margaret. Now you bring the next 5 people in. You say, I'm going to play you a EVP, a voice. I want you to write down what it says. And then I just play it. Now you're going to get, go get it, forget it, where is it, I'm dead. You're going to get 5 completely different answers.
And it's power of suggestion as well. If one person says it, the next person will say the same thing.
Of course, and that's why TV does it. That's why they put it on the screen. That's why they feed you they pre-feed you the information, because they know that's how it works. Yeah. And that's why when they put up the ghost pictures, they put the circle around it and darken everything else, because they want to make sure that you see this. You should be able to see it without anything. Yeah. Just go find the ghost. Here's the picture, find the ghost. But they don't. They really want to zero in, so you go, ooh, ah. But hey, that's entertainment for you.
Exactly. If people aren't watching it, it'll go off for so well. Okay. Well, Rob, thank you very much for spending a bit of time with me. I know you're very, very busy at the minute. You're working on a lot of exciting projects, and the most recent one was Haunted Australia.
Haunting Australia, yeah, that was a labor of love for me. I took it from the idea that Gaurav Tiwari from Indian Paranormal Society, he and I talked about it. Yeah. We found a production company. They kicked it into gear. They found a network, and we said, let's do it completely different. We know that there have been 386 ghost shows out there in the past couple of years. Let's do it different. Let's bring in people from 4 different countries, different disciplines, different mindsets, and take on the most supposedly haunted locations we can find. And I'm really happy with the outcome. My only disappointment is that more people don't get to see it.
Yeah, I've actually, it's not over here yet. I believe it's coming out here pretty soon. I have seen the trailer of it, and it does look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's coming to Really Channel in September. That's my only plug. And look, I'm happy because this is real. This is honest. No fakery involved. You can sit there and you can watch and you can say, man, I think that EVP is garbage. I don't believe this psychic. I don't believe this. But we did it all real. We didn't sit around and create any moments. And obviously things 100% did not go as we planned, Yeah. We didn't plan for Gaurav to break his knee. We didn't plan for Alan Tiller to get his face ripped off by a koala, you know.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was a bit of mayhem by the time we were done.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic because that's what a lot of shows are missing, I believe. Anyway, it's I think it's very very important, and a lot of producers out there are missing the fact that it's very very important to keep that personality on screen, bring a bit of fun factor into the investigation, which is sadly missed. And if you can keep it as real as possible, it will definitely get the viewing figures.
Yeah, I mean, and this one, look, I'll pat myself on the back. Okay. We hit the #1 cable show for the night in Australia. We did really well in Canada. We're coming into Sweden this month, I believe, the middle of this month. And then the big challenge is to jump into the UK market come September. You know, and a lot of people now are saying, what about season 2? What about season 2? I don't, this sounds horrible, man. I don't care if we get a season 2. I really don't. I accomplished what I set out to accomplish, which was make a show that was legit, that was, for the most part, made the way I wanted it to be made, and I did that. Yeah. You know, it's the same way that I'm hesitant to return to countries I've already been to, because it's kind of been there, done that. Yeah. You know, I've done Haunting Australia. It's kind of like, what's next now?
Exactly, and you've a very exciting future ahead with yourself. So basically, what actually got you into the paranormal field from the very start?
From the very start, when I was a little kid, I had an older sister and my mom, and I was probably, I don't even know, 6, 7, 8 years old, and there was two things. One, I would bother my sister until she would, you know, turn around and punch me in the eye, and as many younger brothers tend to do. And my mom, getting sick of it, would say, all right, that's it, get in the car. And we'd drive around, and, you know, it was always fun to explore these abandoned houses and abandoned buildings. This was before the days of liability and trespassing signs, so you just got to wander wherever you wanted. Some of these places had a reputation as being haunted, and I thought that was fascinating. Now, the part two, another thing to keep my sister and I busy is she would take us to this place called the Book Barn. And just like it sounds, it's a bookstore inside a barn. And I would always flock, from the time I knew how to read, to the New Age section. And I read about ghosts, I read about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, aliens, you name it. And I was fascinated. I did my first investigation, quote unquote, when I was 16 in Connecticut. I went to Dudleytown, which is known to be supposedly one of the most haunted abandoned towns in America, and kind of wandered around not knowing what the heck I was doing, and snapped photos and did this, that, and the other, and just kind of built my craft from there. You know, it wasn't until much later that I actually joined a team, because I didn't even think about teams. You know, what do I need a team for? I'm not trying to prove, and that comes back, you know, to another question is what am I trying to do with the field? A lot of people say, do you think you're going to be able to prove that ghosts exist? I don't care. People say, well, what do you mean? Wait, that's why we do this. That's why you do it. Yeah. The only person I'm trying to prove that ghosts exist to and what they are is to me. What you think is up to you. You go discover for yourself what you want to believe. You know what I mean? Is the scientific community going to accept the idea of ghosts as proof of life after death in my lifetime? The answer is no. You can go get all the EVPs you want and all the misty photographs, and ain't nobody gonna care. They're either gonna say that it's something else or that you faked it. And I know that's kind of a pessimistic view, but that's the reality. That's real talk. That's the way it's going to be. So I think that the most we can do is go out there. One of the most important things for me that the paranormal teams can do is help people. If someone says, my home's haunted and I'm scared and I don't know where to reach out to for help, that's where we can step in and make a difference, because there's no one else out there who is going to give them a straight answer. Because science is going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. the psychology field is going to say there's a psychological explanation and maybe you're nuts.
Yeah.
But we'll come out there and say, listen, we'll give it a fair shake. And if you hear footsteps, we might be able to figure out that you got a mouse problem. Or you might be right. And if you do have ghosts in your house, we can give you some ideas to help you cope with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So to me, that's the most important thing we can do. Can you believe that a few minutes ago, we started with the question, how did you get started? I went on a 5-minute rant that ended with how we help homeowners.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, we're the same. We always say to people when we're called into a house that we're not actually looking for ghosts. We're looking for answers.
Yeah, exactly. Gary, you just hit the nail on the head. The way I put it, which is the exact same thing, is too many people go in looking for evidence of ghosts when they should be looking for evidence.
Exactly. I mean, if you can help one family, I mean, you could do all the public events all year, whatever you want, and it's a lot of people that want to know what we do and what other teams do behind the scenes that you don't see. But if you can help one family in 1 year, that's just what makes it what we do work very worthwhile.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, Gary, who are we kidding?
Yeah.
We want to go in there and we want to take a picture of a ghost and we want to capture an EVP. You know, let's not kid ourselves. That's fun too. But yeah, if you can go home and the family emails you or calls you or faxes you or sends you a page and says, hey, you really helped, then you go, all right, we've done our job.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. So over the years, Rob, that you've been investigating, what would you say was your best experience?
My best experience, as far as during investigations, yes, that's an interesting question. Look, my best experience over the years of investigating is the people I've got to meet, the friendships I've made, the friendships I've lost, the lessons I've learned. You know, because this is a crazy field. You know, the people you came into it with are not going to be the people you go out of it with. I can tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. I can back you up there 100%. Definitely.
Yeah, and I've been through it many, many times.
Yeah.
But you come away with those memories. You know what I mean? So there's people that I'm no longer friends with, but I'll still save those wonderful memories of, you know, walking around the night market in Prague, checking out Clark Air Force Base, the haunted hospital in the Philippines. So yeah, the best thing for me is the memories, the moments. As far as the kind of biggest impact moment, man, there's been a few. You know, I was speaking at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. I was standing in a hallway. Now, we called the spirits towards us. We asked them if they could come forward. It was a military hospital. And you heard what sounded like 4 or 5 guys in heavy boots marching down the empty hallway we were standing in.
Yeah.
So something like that obviously is very impactful. People say, well, what's the, you know, how many ghosts have you seen? Honestly, maybe none.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've been doing this a long, long time. And if I was doing it to see ghosts, I would have retired a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, because it just doesn't happen like you wish it would happen.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly. I always said everybody doing an investigation, it's like the weather, it's very, very unpredictable. A lot of people think every time you do this, you're going to come home with 100% evidence. No, it doesn't work like that.
No, unfortunately not. You know, I was talking to someone and they said, you know, maybe 8% of the time you come away with an interesting investigation. I'll give them that number. I would say that more often than not, you're going to spend 8 to 10 hours sitting around in an empty building or a dark home or a basement, and you're going to come away with nothing.
Exactly.
You know, and people don't want to hear that anymore. You know, back in the day, people were understood that. And I'll tell you the difference. Look, you know, I was on, obviously, Ghost Hunters International, which was a spin-off from Ghost Hunters. Now, Ghost Hunters would go in, and they'd sit around, and they'd walk around, and they'd use their devices, and a lot of times they'd come out and go, nah, nothing happened. And people went, oh, yeah, so that's the reality of ghost hunting. Well, then more TV shows came in until there was 100 of them, And more often than not, these TV shows portrayed ghost hunting as action every second. You know, just mayhem and demons and getting scratched and getting punched. And man, I've never gotten shoved or pushed by a ghost in my life.
Yeah, yeah. As you said, Rob, earlier, it is for entertainment purposes, but the ones that stand out for me was yourself when you were on lead investigator with Ghost Hunters International. A fantastic, fantastic show. I'm very sorry to say that it's not aired anymore, but we always watch the repeats. You've travelled all over the world, you've investigated some fantastic locations. Is there any other locations that would stand out for you?
The ones that I've done, or the ones that I want to do?
The ones that you've done on GHI. Would you like to return back to any of those locations first of all?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I do Clark Air Force Base again.
Yeah.
You know, I would do. You know, look, Gary, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm getting old, man.
Yeah.
I can't remember half the places I've been anymore.
Do you mean you're over 31 years of age?
Yeah. I'm coming up on the big 27 this year, so.
Well, 20s. Oh, that's good. That's good because it's a cap. You have to lose the cap. The cap makes you look a lot older than what you actually are.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, the Wicklow Jail in Ireland was a great investigation. Giving a shout out to my Irish followers out there. You know, let's see here, the orphanage in Scotland. I would do again.
Yeah.
I would love to do that place completely by myself. You know, throw some cameras up and just wander around in that place because, man, that's an eerie location.
Yeah.
You know, the monastery that we did in the first season in Italy was incredible. You know, there was more stuff. It's funny because you have some investigations you watch on TV and you go, wow, that was really a lot better than when we were there. You know, the people in post made that seem a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
When you watch some monastery in Italy, there was crazier stuff going on and they even had time to show. I mean, we had a producer who said, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't really get the concept of the show because we all know there's no such thing as ghosts. So what the heck are you guys supposed to be doing? They said, and I don't know if she knew this, but they said that if you go into the men's dormitory, it doesn't like women there. So she went in there. I was there with Andy Andrews, and she came up to me, and she snuck out behind me, probably gave me a start, and said, I got to leave. And I said, oh, what's wrong? And I look, and she's crying. She is freaked out. She's like, I'm not going to talk about it. I can't be in here anymore. And she jammed out. Yeah. Now, we can't really put that on the show, but there was just so much going on at that location. That's another one I wouldn't mind heading back to. But look, the thing is, with the number of haunted locations there are on this earth, reportedly, I should say, I don't like going backwards too much. There's just too many spots out there that I haven't done yet to go back and start hitting my highlights. I'm not in those retirement years yet.
Yeah. So for the future then, what locations would you like to do?
I've got my eye on a couple locations in Russia, specifically in St. Petersburg. I've been working nonstop on trying to get a ghost expedition to Japan organized. So that's definitely on the horizon. I did some investigations in India, and I know that there's a lot more spots there that I'd like to hit.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to, budgeting. I don't have a network behind me. I don't have a production company behind me. So I'm buying my own plane tickets. I'm paying for my own batteries. So it's just how many trips I can do in a year.
That's cool. That's cool. Moving on to the technical side of things, Rob. Sorry, you mentioned Ireland, or you mentioned Wicklow Jail. There's some other places obviously you haven't seen. There's one here that we like to call it Europe's Alcatraz. It's Crumlin Road Jail in Belfast.
I've heard of it.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic place. We've investigated it a few times. And out of all the places, we would definitely say, and we find it very hard to say that a location is haunted.
Sure.
But we believe that there's definitely something going on there with some of the evidence that we've captured over the last year or two. has been pretty astonishing. So if you're ever over in Ireland, we'd love to bring you down to that place. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to go. You know, Ireland is one of those places that makes my list of I'm willing to revisit. I know everyone's going, yeah, who cares? Good for you, buddy. But yeah, like London, you know, the UK, Prague, Ireland. I'm happy to go back to it anytime. Just beautiful people, beautiful scenery, beautiful locations, a lot of activity. So yeah, man, I'm down.
Definitely.
I'll just be checking my email for when you send me the ticket.
Well, you won't be waiting very long. Well, let's move on then to the technical side of the investigation, Rob. Obviously, you've used a lot of equipment over the years, but what would you say would be your favourite piece of equipment?
My go-to, my must-have is a voice recorder. Right. I'm pretty partial to EVP work. It's where I've had the most success. It's where I feel like, you know, you can really feel like you're interacting.
Yeah.
You know, if you take a picture of a ghost, are you really interacting with the spirit? Or are you just kind of like a paparazzi snapping pics and hoping to get something? If you get a good EVP that's in direct response to what you were asking, now you're communicating. Yeah. Now you're getting answers. You're actually in direct dialogue with the spirit. So yeah, the EVP recorder, and I've got way too many. You know, I should sell them off so I can fund more of these trips. Yeah. But now, and the funny thing is, look, if we're talking about technology, the way things are going, more and more of what I own and what I paid good money for is becoming obsolete. Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because, you know, I spent a fair amount of the old piggy bank at Paranologies. Big shout out to Jeremy and Paranologies.com. Because he's got a PDA, Paranormal Digital Assistant, and he's changed the camera on the phone so that it's now what they call full spectrum, even though full spectrum isn't really full spectrum, but that's a whole other thing. A full spectrum camera built into it. It has, obviously, you can record voice, you can record video, you can take pictures. So that just knocked out 3 of my pieces of equipment in a tiny little phone. That's you know, so it's just gonna, you know, hopefully, and I hope, everyone goes, oh, I hate these apps. But I'm telling you, the technology is getting better and better. When the apps first came out, I said, what a bunch of garbage. And now I'm saying, ooh, how wrong I was. Give it another couple of years, and you're going to walk into a location holding a cell phone. Yeah. You know, and that's all you're going to need, or as far along as we've gotten. For me, the other thing in technology, and I'll open a whole can of worms here, is that everyone screams EMF, 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 electromagnetic field. And, okay, great, I got it, EMF. Yeah. Now, just... So you know what EMF is? And they go, yeah, of course I know what EMF is. Electromagnetic field, and the earth changes, and blah, 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 blah. I go, okay. Slow down, champ. Now, tell me how that relates to ghosts. Well, ghosts, they give off EMF, or they use EMF, or when they're around, EMF changes, and EMF... No. Whoa. What I asked you is, explain to me how you know there's a correlation between EMF and spirit activity. Yeah, it's not scientifically proven yet. Definitely. Well, I'm with you. Ghosts aren't scientifically proven. But give me even the slightest bit. You know, well, we're in a haunted place and our EMF meter beeped and blinked and blanked. Yeah, so what? How do you know it wouldn't have done that in a non-haunted place? So this is not to say that EMF is not related to ghosts, but I'm saying... You can't hang your hat on it. What I'm doing is I'm checking everything. You know, I've got in my case of gear, which I say case, but it's about 9 cases worth. I've got a radiation detector. I did an investigation in India at Bangar Fort, which is one of the most incredible locations you could ever visit in your entire lifetime. It's amazing. Not as far as necessarily how haunted it is, but how breathtaking it is. Yeah. But anyway, I said, I had my EMF meter, I had my radiation meter out, and it's doing its radiation meter thing, saying beep, beep,
Yeah.
like a monitor. And I say, hey, could you speed up the sound of the beeps? Lo and behold, beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do I now say, forget EMF, it's radiation, ghosts are radioactive, run? No.
Yeah, we actually use it's like a mobile phone. Looks very similar to a mobile phone. It's actually a Geiger counter.
Yes.
And it works very similar. It works very similar to EMF. Exactly what you said, Rob. You're calling out. You're asking it to affect the field, and of course we do seem to get some type of readings, which is quite strange. But again, it's not telling us that there's ghosts or else. It's telling us that there's a change in environment.
Yes. Now, Gary, I ask you, Gary, do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
Walk from that end of the room, or come from that end of the room to this end of the room. Now, you walk over and say, Rob, you got some stupid ideas. I say, well, Gary, notice that you walked from that end of the room to over to me. You didn't crawl over. You didn't hop over. You didn't skip over.
Yeah.
You didn't stand on your hands and walk over to me.
Mm-hmm.
You walked over. So you took the easiest route to expand the least amount of energy. Now, why do I bring that up? You bring out your K2 meter and you say, can you light this up? And it lights up. And you say, see? The ghost changed the EMF. Well, wait a second. Wouldn't the easiest route, if the ghost could do it, be for them to just change the lights? Mm-hmm. So when my radiation meter beeps more, do I think the radiation level of the room changed? No. If anything, if we have spirit interaction, the spirit may just be manipulating the sound coming out.
Yeah.
So you really have to dig deep into what's going on and look for what's easiest for a spirit to accomplish. Changing the radiation level of a room would be incredible, but I don't believe it necessarily happened.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. Another question, Rob, and it's something that we've been using over the past year and a half. It's using different sounds of vibration. And during the Victorian times, where they used the vibration bowls, it's believed that spirits can tune into a certain vibration to communicate and to come through on. What would be your theory on that?
Well, everything works on vibrations, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When we take a step, we create vibrations. When we're speaking right now, I'm creating vibrations within the air to convey my voice.
Yeah.
Everything has a vibrational level. So the idea that spirits may operate at a higher or lower vibrational level makes sense to me. Even the way that we say, well, the ghost walked right through the door, that is possible depending on vibration level. So taking a look at the measuring vibration and how it can interact with the spirit world is certainly worth pursuing.
Yeah.
And that's the big question. Look, one of the things I've always said, Gary, is that I'm not trying to prove if ghosts exist.
Yeah.
Because they do. And everyone says, no, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, wait a second. People are seeing ghosts. So they may be a trick of the mind. They may be demons. They may be the soul of our lost loved ones.
Yeah.
But they are there. Mm-hmm. Even if they are just a mess up in brain chemistry that makes us think we're seeing something, that's still something. Not everyone who reports a ghost is lying. So therefore, it's not a question of does a ghost exist? Because yes, they do. It's what is a ghost? And getting back to what you just said, it's not can they do something, because we've seen things they apparently can do. Mm-hmm. It's why and how. That's the real question.
Yeah, yeah. Do you believe that spirits have enough energy to move things like poltergeist activity?
You know, I have seen objects move? Mm-hmm. Sure. Now, there's always, when you get into poltergeist activity, you open a whole nother can of worms. There was an investigator I worked with. I won't say his name. I will say that it rhymes with Brian Barnois. So maybe people can figure it out.
Okay.
But I won't say his name.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, he said anytime you have poltergeist activity, that's because it's like PK. And I said, okay, I'm with you. So every time that an object moves, it's a case of latent psychokinesis. Someone in the house, usually a woman, hitting menopause or hitting puberty, has a lot of emotion built up, and it's manifesting. Blah, blah, blah. We all heard that speech. Now, what about the cases where you take that individual, in fact, all of the individuals who make up the family, out of the location, and it's still occurring within the location? What about that? Then they fake it. Okay. Thank you, Brian Barnois, for your input on that. No, I love Mr. Barnois. But so can spirits use enough energy to move an object? In my somewhat educated opinion, I would say yes.
Good answer. We done a private house investigation up in Belfast about 2 years ago. We had just arrived, and as always, when the cameras aren't rolling, that's when you get your best evidence.
Of course.
There was a little small toy car sitting on the floor, and in the corner of our eye, 4 or 5 of us had witnessed this car come up off the floor and hit the window with force strong enough that it almost smashed the window. And that was the first time that I'd ever seen anything like that, and to be honest with you, it absolutely left me gobsmacked to see that. And it'll probably not be the last, but yeah, definitely 100% as well, Rob, what you said. Spirits have, I believe, enough energy to move objects.
Now there's a downside in that to what I've seen. Because like anything on Earth, you have a certain amount of energy that needs to be reborn in some manner, correct?
Yeah.
So moving an object, if a spirit moves an object, and you hear cases about things, forks and knives flying over and the doors opening and shutting and all this, that requires a lot of energy. So what we found is, in my experience, when you start the investigation, you're going to get your best, you're going to get 80% of any potential evidence within the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's because they're expending energy, either to try and push you out or communicate with you or just be known. And then that energy, obviously on a sliding scale, is going to start to dissipate. So that you're going to get that, from after 1 a.m. till the sun comes up at 6 a.m., you may not get much because the energy's gone.
Yeah.
They've used up that force.
Yeah, definitely.
And getting back to what you said earlier, I'll tell you how jaded I became on GHI. I was with Angela Alderman, who was on GHI for a while, and we were in a castle in Denmark. And we're setting up DVR cameras. No camera crew with us, just walking around setting up DVR cameras. And we walk past a room, and you hear a woman's voice. Clear as day. I mean, the room's empty. There's no one even near us. It's a big castle.
Yeah.
And a woman says something indecipherable, and I just keep walking. And Angela says to me, "Hey, whoa, 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 whoa." And, she's a little thing. She's jumping up and down and pushing around. And she says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, I heard it. What was that?" I said, I don't know. It's a ghost. We got to set up these cameras.
As you do.
Yeah, and I said, man, I look back at that and I say, what happened? How many years did I do TV that a ghost sits there and talks to me, not an EVP, a disembodied voice, clear as day, and I say, yeah, great, we'll get back to you later when the cameras are on.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, did I need a break after that one? Think back. And I hope that it didn't ruin her level of interest in the paranormal that a ghost talks to you and I just keep walking.
No. There's a perfect example. It happened when you weren't really expecting it. We've been to a few castles ourselves in Ireland, of course. We're blessed to have them on our doorsteps. And you always seem to get disembodied voices in castles. Is it because of the stone brick theory, where these voices are imprinted into the quartz or into the stone? Right.
Well, that's a good question, but I think the answer to that may be in what they're saying. If you go with stone tape theory, then it's almost a residual haunting, or is a residual haunting.
Mm-hmm.
So if the voice is applicable to what you're doing, what you're talking about, then it may not be stone tape theory. I'll give you an example. You're walking down the hallway and you go past an empty dining room and you hear a voice boom out, "My dinner is cold." Well, that may be stone tape theory, because it's just the spirit, or what was once the spirit, the person is trapped in the stone.
Yeah.
If you're walking by that same dining room and they say, "Geez, Rob, you're getting fat." Well, now it may not be stone tape theory. This is now something interacting. It's not necessarily trapped in the environment. It's something interactive. So it really comes down to what that disembodied voice is saying to you.
Yeah. Then you could
also, one more point. I think one of the reasons also that strangely you get a lot of these disembodied voices in castles is because of the acoustics.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had a disembodied voice that was 2 rooms down, you may still hear it. Whereas if you are in a house and there's a disembodied voice 2 rooms down, you probably didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Just because of the way sound carries.
Exactly.
You can read more about that in my new book, The Acoustics of Castles, coming out 2017.
I'll be the first one to bat. Very good. Demons. Now, demons seems to get a lot of mention. I personally, myself, don't believe in demons. I believe that there's good spirits and bad spirits. And when you pass over, you bring that personality with you. What would your theory be on demons yourself?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because we're talking about 2 completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you that there's positive and negative spirits.
Yeah.
That being said, what we're therefore talking about is someone who was on this earth and then passed over, and we're trying to communicate with the spirit, the essence that they left behind. A demon, in theory, was never a person. So it's kind of funny, because now what you're dealing with is something that the only thing they share with ghosts is they're invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So the manner in which you attempt to interact is quite different.
Yeah.
Have I encountered anything that I can say, "Ooh, now that's no ghost, that's a demon"? Nope. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people claim it. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's scarier between a demon and a ghost?
Yeah.
A demon.
Yeah.
So what became popular is, as people started to learn the language and the code words, you know how it is. Paranormal investigators have their own language. We say, well, what were the EMF readings? Well, they fluctuated between 0.2 milligauss and 0.4, so nothing really appropriate. We did get an EVP during, and that's language that before was kind of special and kept between paranormal investigators. And as the TV shows grew, everyone picked up on that. And the other thing they picked up on is that you get more attention when you say demon. Ooh, it's a demon.
Yeah.
And so everyone jumped on it. Why? Because, well, I want you to come investigate my house. There's a ghost here. Well, what does the ghost do? Well, sometimes it knocks on the door at night. And they go, yeah, we'll schedule you in. We got opening in 3 months. Now you call up the same team and you go, hey, I've got a demon. And they say, hold on, I'm getting in the car now.
Yeah, it puts a fear factor into it and it makes it more exciting, I suppose, as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, just a few questions for you, Rob, from the people on our Facebook pages, from the Ghost Searches Ireland Facebook pages.
Sure.
And the first one is from Terry Barrow, and she's asking, have you ever experienced a spirit follow you home from an investigation?
The answer is no. My house is ghost-free. And I used to always make the joke that it's because immigration is so tough in America that nothing could get in once I left their country. There's ghosts that I left at the airport all over the place.
Yeah.
But the real answer is just no. I've never come home from an investigation, even so much as done an overnight investigation and gone back to the hotel and had something happen. So for me personally, thank goodness, no.
Yeah. Well, you could be leading down the fact of doing protection as well. I personally don't do protection because I used to at the early days, but why would you put this spirit light around you to keep spirits away from communicating with you? So what I do now is further down the line, we've been at it for a few years. I'd always do my protection when I finish, but I never do it at the start.
Yeah, and that's something I get asked about quite a bit too. Do I use any form of protection during a ghost hunt? I should add.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the answer is, truthfully, I don't. And it's not because I don't believe it's effective. It's not because I look down on people who do. It's because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have time to sage myself. I don't envision myself in the white protective light. I'm listening to my headphones and thinking about what time I'm going to get pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so a lot of people would say, well, Rob, you've just gotten lucky. And they might be right. You know, so one of these days I might be saying, man, I should have stopped thinking about the pizza for 1 minute. But knock on wood, so far so good.
That's good. Now the other question is actually from my wife, and she says, talking about fight or flight. When you go to a location, a haunted location, and your mind is telling you to get out, but your curiosity gets a better of you, do you go into the property or do you stay away?
Oh, come on. You tell Karen that I expect better questions than that from her.
I know.
Talking to.
Yeah.
I run my backside right into the location.
Exactly.
It's weird, but it actually is a good question, I tease. And I'll tell you why, because fight or flight, the release of the chemical into your body, your heart rate speeds up, your hearing ability becomes greater. And when you're talking about looking for ghosts, there's no one to fight. There's no one to punch. There's no one to wrestle. There's no chokeholds. So I've seen plenty of people run. And everyone says, oh, that's horrible. That's the worst. Mm-hmm. But wait a second. It's just a biochemical reaction to fear. It doesn't mean that you're a weaker person. It's just your body reacting. Have I ever run? Nope. No.
Good.
You know, I got people from TV shows these days claiming that they made me run themselves. Come on, man. I'm 265 pounds. I'll take a beating before I run anywhere. I'm too heavy to try and move that quick.
Yeah.
Spread the lies, homeboys.
Yeah. I always say to our researchers, when you're on investigation, do not wear trainers.
Wear moon boots. It'll make sure that you go, I'd run, but man, I'm going to start wearing high heels.
Yeah.
High heels on investigation.
Yeah. It'll be...
I'm not going to try and run in those things.
Yeah. It'll be run, dude, run, but run quicker. So, okay, well, Rob, what lies in the future for 2014 that you can talk about? And have you any other new projects lined up for next year?
That I can talk about. That's
yes.
Interesting. I can say that there are some things coming forth in the TV realm cool. For Robb D. There are some. I've already filmed some stuff. Just waiting on. You know, a lot of people say, "Are you going to be coming back to television in the United States?" That's the big question I get. The answer is, and you heard it here first, yes.
Yay!
Yeah, and not necessarily in the way that people would expect, but they're going to just have to deal with it. That's a non-paranormal project, which is weird for me. Who knows why they even asked me to do it, but they did. And as far as paranormal projects, you're going to see those too. So, you know, the thing is, with the success of Haunting Australia, I'm not hurting for offers. So good question is, are you going to see me on TV again in 2014? That's a maybe, but definitely in 2015. I guess it depends how long they take for post. As far as what I'm going to do personally, I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm working with a equipment manufacturer, equipment maker Guy's a genius. I don't know how he does it. I can barely combine a spoon and a rubber band, and this guy does coding and amazing stuff. Working with him, we're going to have some products coming out that whereas I can't guarantee they will find you ghosts, they will definitely take you a step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Fantastic.
And I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep traveling the world looking for ghosts and hitting the gym so I'm not, as obese as usual. And that's me.
Fantastic. Well, when that happens, Rob, let us know. We'll be the first to be watching you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we
and a trip to Ireland is definitely in my future. Hopefully in 2014, once I get some new batteries and make sure the equipment's ready to go. And man, I'll tell you what, Ireland is tough. When they don't mess around when you try and come in. I don't know, you probably haven't had this experience because you're Irish.
Yeah.
But when the last time I came into Ireland, they said, well, what are you doing here? I know. Horrible Irish accent. I apologize.
I take it when you were in Ireland, you've sampled our famous food, the stew. Have you tried it?
Which one?
A bowl of stew. Irish stew.
I'm going to tell you something. I had Irish stew homemade.
Uh-huh.
And I had Irish stew in an Irish restaurant, of course, in Ireland.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. What are you guys... Hey, to all of your listeners out there, everyone who's listening to this, seasoning. It doesn't have to just be water, beef, and potato. Put some salt in it. Go crazy. Maybe a little garlic. I love burning off an entire country of potential fans in one comment. Can I tell you one thing?
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Ireland. The best Indian food I ever had was in Ireland.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing. It's the best, hands down.
Yeah.
I've had good Indian food in India. I've had great Indian food in England. But the best I ever had was in Ireland. Just incredible. So now that I have to change my face before I come back to Ireland.
I think so. You're going to have to wear a green t-shirt. So yeah, and when you're here, you have to try my wife's stew. She do you use seasoning?
Oh yes.
She does. She puts seasoning in it, so you'll love her stew. You'll be bringing it back home with you.
To be sure.
To be sure, and a top of good day to you. All right, Rob, well, thank you again for your time. It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you, and it's the first time that I've actually spoken to you, and it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
and,
me too, man. Stay in touch. You know where to find me, and I will definitely be over for some of your wife's Irish stew. I know she's lying. She just wrote down, make sure to add seasoning next time.
Oh, don't you worry. I have plenty of seasoning here, and I'm bringing them the bucket load in for you, Rob.
I have no idea what you just said.
Sorry. I said, don't worry, I'll have plenty of seasoning for you. Loads of pepper and salt.
Because it's going to be a whole big fight between Gary and I.
Don't worry, I'll make enough.
I can guarantee you. Well, look, Rob, you have a good day. Thank you very much for your time.
Friend. Take care.
And it's been a real pleasure.
All right. Bye.
All the best, Rob.
Okay, thanks for now. Bye-bye. Well, there you go, guys. Robb Demarest, a great guy, very down to earth, and amazingly full of knowledge, and a lot of things that I actually learned today as well. Looking forward to his new show coming out in September, Haunted Australia. We've seen the promo of it, and it looks absolutely brilliant. And also, it's fantastic news to hear that he's also coming back in 2015 onto the TV screens. So for now, my name is Gary Waters. You take care and stay safe.